Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we dive into the weirdest, wildest, and most mind-bending movies ever made. Strap in, because this story is about to bend your brain like a pretzel. Let's get started. The movie begins inside the soul-crushing walls of an office where Greg is stuck in the kind of cubicle nightmare that could drive anyone to madness. His desk is cluttered with doodles of beaches and freedom, because instead of working, Greg has been busy sketching fantasy worlds. Honestly, same. But just when he thinks his day can't get worse, his boss yanks him into a meeting. The boss starts droning about how Greg's recent performance is terrible, and unless he pulls it together, he's fired. Greg, of course, does the mature thing. He zones out completely. Then, as if the universe decided to spice things up, Greg accidentally murders his boss. Yep, one little shove, and boom, man down, dead on the office floor. Greg stands there like, well, guess that's one way to quit your job. Panic sets in. He stuffs his belongings into a bag, wipes his fingerprints, and escapes the building like a guy sneaking out after a bad Tinder date. Outside, Greg stumbles into a dingy bar where he meets Isabel. Isabel is not your typical stranger. She starts rambling about how the entire world is fake, a simulation, and she can prove it. Greg, still in shock from his little "oops, I killed my boss" moment, doesn't have the energy to argue. Isabel gives him 2 pills, like she's running a knockoff Matrix audition, and tells him to trust her. Moments later, she waves her hands dramatically, and suddenly, objects in the bar start flying around like they're auditioning for Poltergeist 5. Glasses smash, chairs tumble, and somehow, Greg can do it too. He flicks his fingers, and the world bends. Is this bliss or just really strong pharmaceuticals? Either way, Greg is hooked. The two run out into the night, Isabel teaching him how to manipulate reality. Together, they're like rogue magicians who skipped Hogwarts and went straight to the bar fight electives. But just when Greg starts thinking life is a video game, reality comes crashing back in the form of his daughter, Emily. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. Emily has been trying to reach Greg. She's worried because ever since the divorce, he's been drifting further away. She shows up at the bar, begging him to come home, to reconnect, to be her dad again. But Greg is so deep into Isabel's simulation talk that he brushes Emily off like she's just an NPC. Ouch. Back with Isabel, she insists this crummy world isn't real. She says there's a better, cleaner, more beautiful universe out there. A utopia where they truly belong. All Greg needs is to fully trust her and take more pills. He hesitates, but Isabel has that convincing mix of charisma and chaos that makes you say yes to terrible ideas. Soon, Greg and Isabel spiral into a wild, drug-fueled adventure. They crash roller rinks, live on the streets, and cause absolute mayhem while dodging cops and social workers. Greg is falling deeper and deeper into her world. But Emily doesn't give up. She keeps chasing her father, calling him, trying to remind him of who he is. Then comes the big twist. Isabel reveals a new pill, a super strong dose. She claims this will transport them to the real reality. Greg, against all logic, takes it. And boom, suddenly, they wake up in a lab. Scientists in white coats cheer like they've just won a Nobel Prize. Turns out, Greg and Isabel are test subjects in a futuristic simulation designed to study human misery. The world he thought was real? Just a low-res video game for scientists. Greg is told he's not a sad divorced dad. He's actually a brilliant scientist who created this simulation of suffering to appreciate how good life in utopia really is. His messy office job, his failing relationships, his boss's death, all fake. Just lines of code. Isabel beams at him, proud, like a guru saying, "See? I told you so." At first, Greg is thrilled. Who wouldn't be? Suddenly he's rich, respected, living in a luxurious world where the beaches match his doodles. This is bliss, right? But then something weird happens. Greg starts seeing Emily. His daughter wasn't supposed to exist in this reality, yet he feels her presence, pulling him back. Isabel tells him to ignore it. She insists Emily is just a leftover glitch from the simulation, not real. But Greg's heart won't listen. No matter how perfect this utopia is, he can't shake the bond with his daughter. Things spiral when their supply of pills runs low. Without them, Greg risks being trapped between worlds. Isabel urges him to choose, stay in utopia with her, or go back to the dirty, painful simulation where Emily exists. Greg is torn. With Isabel, he has freedom, power, love. With Emily, he has responsibility, heartbreak, but also something real. The tension builds to a heartbreaking climax when Isabel sacrifices herself, taking the last dose so Greg can choose his path. Greg finally makes his decision. He rejects the blissful utopia and returns to the messy world of rent, regret, and reconciliation. He checks himself into rehab, admitting he has a problem. Slowly, painfully, he begins to rebuild his relationship with Emily. The final scene is quiet but powerful. Greg sits with his daughter, choosing her over the fantasy. Maybe the world is ugly, maybe life is full of suffering, but to Greg, love makes it worth living. And that's where the movie leaves us, asking whether bliss is found in escaping reality or embracing it. And that's Bliss 2021. Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one.